Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Empire, where we dominate the crypto market. My name is Connor and we're back for another Crypto Empire live stream. Let's get everyone to smash up the like button as we get this Sunday live stream started. We have altcoins pumping, the market is still hot, Bitcoin dominance is dropping, Ethereum is pushing new highs. Overall, we still have really bullish momentum. Let's get into the charts. Shout out to everyone here in the live chat, nice and early. I can see we have a whole group of people here. Shout out to GoSL. We got Silvadala, Eric Royston, Austia Craig, Sam Fox 1, and a few other familiar names. I will get to all of you guys in one moment. I want to start off looking at the crypto bubbles top 100. Everything is green on the day. Not one red coin out there besides TRX and Floki, which are down around 1 to 2%. Also, Pengu is now 3%. Everything else in the top 100 is up and to the right today. Why is this? Well, we are seeing some major drops. The only red things on my watch list right now are Bitcoin dominance and stablecoin dominance. Everything else is basically green. Let me highlight Bitcoin dominance to start off this live stream. This is the weekly candle. This weekly candle is going to close today in approximately 12 hours time, give or take, right? It's Sunday morning. This will be closing on Sunday evening. If the weekly candle closes like this, we are in for some even more fun, all right? This would essentially confirm that we are going to go lower with a weekly candle down here at 61%. Why is that? It would be closing beneath the previous swing low, meaning that we should expect continuation down lower. This is amazing for altcoins. All right, this is why we're seeing altcoins now pump, because Bitcoin dominance is dropping and stablecoin dominance as well. But if you look at stablecoin dominance, it really hasn't been dropping too much this weekend. But if you look at Bitcoin dominance this weekend, it's losing a lot of market share. So what we're seeing is the exact scenario that we've laid out here on the channel, right? We need Bitcoin dominance to drop because there's so much money in Bitcoin. If stablecoin dominance drops, there's not nearly as much capital in stablecoins as there is in Bitcoin. So this is why we're seeing the pumps right now on alts, because we finally have Bitcoin dominance going lower. And the weekly candle as of right now is extremely bearish, which is actually really bullish for the market. So that's what's going on here on Bitcoin dominance. This is what altcoin season does look like, right? If you look at the altcoin season from 2021, once we started to accelerate the drop, it was just week after week of pumps in the market with Bitcoin dominance going down. We may be in one of those exact scenarios now, where we might have a few weeks of dropping down here to like 50% or so, and this would be likely a major rally, and really good for altcoins. It will be that, right? So we may be having that big drop right now, guys. I just want to make it very clear that this weekly candle is very bearish on Bitcoin dominance. Now here we are on stablecoin dominance, USDT. And as you can see, it reacted from this demand level at 4.14%. It bounced up a bit. Bitcoin pulled back slightly, but really not too much. It's just consolidating. So what we have to look out here for is whether or not this wants to bounce and grab a level higher before going lower, or if it just wants to go straight down lower, right? In the last live stream we did here on Friday, I was laying out the plan basically where, look, this is a 2-day demand zone, right? Let's just put this fresh on the chart for everyone, guys, in case anyone's mistaken here. So this is USDT dominance. Here we have our 2-day demand zone. So all we do is isolate that. Okay, so the thing we're planning for right now is whether or not this 2-day is going to produce a bounce, or whether or not it's just going to get sliced through. And we go to the actual lows of this previous bottoming pattern, right? But the lows are at 3.8%. Okay, so that just to move from where it's at right now, just to move from 4.2% to 3.8%, that's a 10% move. That's a lot, guys. Okay, that's going to cause a lot of pumps. So in my opinion, we should be looking for something like that. But at the same time, we can't have FOMO. It's a bit of a dichotomy of things going on at the moment. The FOMO is so real, okay? With it looking like this in terms of just the top 100, you're seeing low cap coins really pump hard. Some of them at least, right? Look at Cubic, for example. Also PHB pumped. But Cubic over here, right, finally breaking out. So we have some movement on the low caps. We have high caps like XRP at new all-time highs, Doge pumping. The FOMO is so strong right now, okay? So it's important to not just go crazy off the tilt and start FOMOing into everything, because I'm saying that USDT dominance may just go right here to 3.8% and ignore the 2-day demand zone, okay? So don't get extreme FOMO. Ideally, we're positioned from lower. Okay, we are. I'm not sure what you personally are watching this, but just because I'm saying that this can go right here to 3.8% doesn't mean you should go max long everything you possibly can. Okay, there's still a very real chance we see a bounce from here. And that brings me to my next point. We're pumping on Sunday. We may be in the midst of a weekend trap. However, I want you guys to understand something. Bitcoin, there's really nothing to talk about here on BTC. All right, we're still trading sideways in this range. We're still trading at $118,000. All right, we still know that we have a CME gap. If we go to the CME chart, right, we have this gap in the price here. On the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CME chart, we had this gap left behind on January 10th and 11th, or that weekend. So what we want to do is we want to isolate that gap on Bitcoin, and that's right at 115,000. We have not come down to test the CME gap yet, okay? And we also have big support from 113 to 111K, and that would be the previous high of this consolidation structure. I've mentioned in the past how every time Bitcoin is broken out, it has not come beneath the previous high of the consolidation structure. Here's our most recent example in June. Right over here in May, we broke out. We came back and we retested the high. We never broke underneath it. So if we're going to stay bullish, we should not come back underneath this high at 112K. Okay, we should not close below that. Ideally, we come down to it, we bounce. And then ideally, we push up and make some more new all-time highs on Bitcoin. But the real action is actually on Ethereum. Okay, Ethereum is what we actually need to be talking about right now. Enough of Bitcoin. Here's Ethereum's weekly candle. Ethereum's weekly candle, as you can see, is now at the 2025 yearly highs. What do I mean by that? Well, here's the new year. Okay, here's the start of the year right here, January 1st, January 6th. It went up slightly up here to $3,744, and then it just went down for 6 months straight. So we have now officially made a new high price for the year of 2025 on Ethereum. Let's give it a round of applause, everyone. Let's get some W's in the chat. And if you haven't smashed up the like button, smash up that like button right now, lads. But yeah, I mean, we just cleared these highs. Or we haven't cleared them, but we pierced it, and we have a new high for the year on Ethereum, which is great to see. Now, what's important to understand is the correction. The correction's going to come. Everyone's saying, oh my God, correction. You hear it from everywhere. Everyone's talking about a correction. Let's go. We got W's rolling through the chat right now. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get some hype in the chat. But anyways, everyone's talking about this correction, okay? What's important to understand is the more this coin pumps, the shallower the correction is going to be. All right? The higher this goes up, the less it's going to go down. So if you're looking for like, I don't know, something down here like 2,800 or 2,700, maybe you might even be looking for like $2,500 Ethereum all the way back down here. We got some W's rolling through this chat right now. Let's go, guys. Smash up the like button too. Let's get it. But anyways, the big correction that's looming that everyone just keeps on talking about. Important to understand, guys. The higher Ethereum goes, the less the correction is going to be. Okay? So the last time this price consolidated on the daily time frame was right after the breakout. It was right at $3,000. Depending on where this week closes, right? We could end the week up here at 4,000. All right, we may pump over the next 12 hours into here. I would like to see that, because that just means if we close the week up here, in my opinion, whenever we do get the correction, it's going to be shallower before eventual new all-time highs. So as of right now, I would say looking at around the $3,300 level. Let me explain this for everyone. Why am I looking at the $3,300 level on Ethereum for a potential pullback? Well, this is just a simple breaker block on the daily time frame. All right, let's go through this step by step. We had this previous level of supply over here on ETH. Okay, we had a previous level of supply. So we'll make that red as a supply zone. And it's on the 1 day time frame, so we'll label it 1 day. Now we can see what happened here on Ethereum's way up. It completely disregarded this order block, this supply zone. Once it was disregarded, it became a breaker block. So we make it green because that's what we're going to look for bullish continuation. Okay, so we have that level on ETH. We know that's high interest for a pullback at 3,300. And like I said, the higher it goes, the shallower I expect the pullback to be. So I'm looking at around here first. If it gets super bad, like around 3K, I'd say is worst case. Also, if we pull a fib from the high down to the low, we can see our retracements. Looking at these retracements, we have the golden pocket right at around that 1 day level, the 618. And then down in the 88.6, we have 3,000. Okay, so as of right now, I like the 1 day breaker block on ETH as an idea for a pullback. Will it come right now? Nobody knows. Nobody knows at all. But all I know is if and when, I just say when it does come, this is an obvious level, or we're going all the way back down to retest the potential breakout, or retest the breakout at 3K. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at for ETH. Now to the upside, okay, because we really should just be concerned about the higher targets here because we're in a bull market. And in a bull market, resistance gets broken through, all right? So we want to look for the upside targets here on Ethereum. At this point in time, there aren't many. There's not that many upside targets here before price discovery, before new all-time highs. We have $4,000, which was where we stopped every time in 2024. Every time Ethereum made it up here to 4,000, it crashed violently. We know there's a lot of sellers over here at 4,000 on ETH. Okay, so this is a target. Do I think it will stop here and go down to another bear market? No. Okay, I'm expecting it to break through this. And what's the next target? It's the all-time high at $4,868. After this, we got clear skies, guys. We got clear skies ahead. Nothing but air. So there's multiple ways to look at where it's going to go in price discovery. My preferred method is using Fibonacci extension levels, okay? So I'm going to put some Fibonacci extension levels up on the chart right now. Now there's multiple fibs you can pull. What I just did is I pulled the high over here from December of 2024 down to the low in April of 2024, and it gives me my negative Fibonacci extension levels higher. All right, so our 0.27 is right at the all-time high. It's directly at the all-time high. Our negative 61.8 is going to be at $5,800. This is a main target for me, $5,800. And then the negative 1 extension is going to come in at $6,830. Main target right here, negative 61.8. I'm also going to show you the fib pulled from November 2021 at the all-time high to the bear market bottom over here. Now you'll see the extensions do kind of gap, or they line up with one another. The negative 0.27, $5,940. This is a main target, around 5,800, 5,900. We also have a lot of levels coming in at 7,000. Okay, there's the chance we make it all the way up here to 10. Of course, there's the chance that happens. But our main targets are going to be $5,800 and $7,000 on Ethereum. So that's how I go through the process of finding potential price targets when there's no resistance. When you're in all-time highs, there's nothing to go off. You can use negative Fibonacci extensions to find those numbers well. All right. So that's what we're looking for on ETH. Okay, that's it. This all should align with Bitcoin dominance around 50 or below. It should align with USDT dominance down here at around 3.3. All of it should come together nicely. But the main thing is seeing Bitcoin dominance drop, because that's where most of the money is going to come from to actually pump ETH. And we're seeing that in real time right now with Bitcoin dominance dropping steadily and Ethereum really, really pumping up. I want to go through a few setups we were looking at on our last Friday stream. So here is Dogecoin, and looking at Dogecoin, we are at these highs, and personally I'm expecting them to break, but I am aware of a potential retest of our red box area. Okay, this is at around 22 cents. Remember, we just went over the pullback scenario on Ethereum. Of course, it would be similar on altcoins. Okay, just notice as well, just put a basic horizontal line on the chart. You know, we're at some big highs. We're at some highs where we've seen some really big selling in the past, which is why it's not the greatest of ideas to just FOMO into things when we're at such big resistance levels. Everyone has FOMO right now. It's important to understand that. Some person is up $10 million, they have FOMO. Some person's up $500 right now, they have FOMO. Everyone's experiencing the same exact emotions. So you have to control those emotions. Because when you let the emotions control you, that's when you make the stupid decisions and you piss money away. The market just takes it from you when you act stupid. I'm sure everyone has been there. All right, so don't go pissing away your funds because you have FOMO. Anyways, Doge is at these highs. Let's go and just simplify this. Okay, we have our red box we put on prior. This was the level we had to flip. Now it's simply the level we have to hold on a pullback, 22 cents. Also, we spoke about Litecoin last stream. Let me drop the time frame. So on Friday night, Litecoin was pumping. It was up here at like 110, 109 up here. And I basically just said if it pulls back to 103, that's the level. What happened? It came back down to 100. Okay. And as you can see after that, it's up 20%, or no, 16%. 17% from there. So, I mean, this was just, it's a clean chart right now, but pretty simple. This was such a simple idea. Long story short, we basically had these previous highs right at 103, which is why I said 103. Anyways, the idea was just to see the breakout, retest, and then go, and that's exactly what happened. All right, so that's one of them. At this point in time, there's a chance that Litecoin continues to break out, and it goes for it ends up going for the highs over here. Right, because there's a real chance once it clears these highs at around 150, it's going to go for like 300 for the all-time highs. So, you're not late if that's going to happen, but it's just not really a great entry at the moment in time. Okay, so we'll see what happens here on LTC, but if you guys follow that last setup from the last stream, looking at 103, you're up over 10% from that. So, GG, good game. Get some W's in the chat. What else? PHB, we looked at this a bunch on streams. Hit target. Congrats if you guys took this one. This one paid out well. Swarms. Market maker flushed this one out. So we are no longer in this trade. This is no longer active, okay? We had our trend line break, and we were just going for a very simple breakout, retest. We were looking for an expansion from this consolidation. We didn't get it, okay? We got the break, so we got out on the trend line break. I still think this coin will do well. I'm just not in an active position anymore on Swarms. And then some of these other ones like SPK, you can see, are also doing well. So yeah, in general right now, we're pumping. We're bullish, but it is Sunday, and we may have a weekend trap where we open the week slightly down. Right after pumping on a Sunday, everyone FOMO is in on Sunday. Oh my God, we're gonna break out so hard, and then we start the week down. Stays down for maybe a day or two, and then we just rip and we start pumping again. So that could happen. Anyways, we have a super chat coming in right now. We got a super chat right now from Bob's My Uncle. My man Bob's My Uncle. He says, did you get a bag of OKEG and especially Barrio? Did I get a bag of them? No, Bob, I didn't get a bag. Sorry to break your heart. I know how bullish you are on these coins. Here's Barrio 2 million. Looks like you may see a breakout. You already have a trend line break. And then OKEG. Gave you that breakout. We went over this already, right? Broke out, retested. I mean, both of the coins are looking bullish. I mean, base in general is looking really bullish right now. By the way, guys, thank you for all the support on my recent base video. It's doing super well at the moment. One day in, like almost 9,000 views. So it seems like you guys really like the base videos. So I can definitely continue to make those. But yeah, in general right now, these base coins are doing numbers, right? They're starting to move. Miggles, again, broke out and retested this accumulation range. And it looks to be expanding now. We have other coins like Treb up 11% on the day. We're looking for some big moves off of this support. You just looked at OKEG and Barrio. Bob's My Uncle's coins doing well. So base is hot. Not really all of them. Right? Coins like Bread and Ski are up slightly. Here's Bread on the daily time frame. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do for all of these base coins. There's a lot of ground to capture. A lot of ground to capture for all of these base coins. So yeah, Ethereum to a new all-time high would send all those to the stratosphere. And Bob's My Uncle with another super chat. And a super chat from Scorch888. Shout out to Scorch. He's got the #1 crown at the moment. Scorch has the #1 crown in the chat. But Bob's My Uncle says one more for me. Top gaming coin will be Wilder World. Very big weekly candle here on Wild. Clearing this previous high at 28 cents. And there was some crazy volume down here at the bottom in this accumulation. And now on the breakout, I mean, the volume is higher than what it usually is, but I mean, look at the volume in the accumulation right here leading to this breakout. Big players were buying this thing at the bottom. This volume is the footprint for that. Those are the tracks left behind. But yeah, this coin, good breakout here off of this. It was at the bottom. It was lower than the bottom. So yeah, bit of a mean reversion play happening. And your mean is literally up here at 70 cents. So yeah, should do good for you, Bob. Now, other gaming coins. Let's go through the gaming watch list real quick. ApeCoin hasn't moved. Sand looks like it wants to go for a breakout. Axie also looking pretty bullish. Looks like it wants to go for a breakout. But the low cap gaming coins are not moving. They're really not moving at all. So just a few select ones like Wilder World are up. And another super chat rolling in right now. I believe in Bulgarian Levs. Shout out to Veti City. He says, thoughts on KTA? I sold my house to buy Kita at 78 cents. Am I effed? Well, that's a bit of a dramatic comment right there. You sold your house to buy a coin. That's pretty extreme, man. So I would say you're cooked if you start to trade below these lows on the daily time frame. If you start to trade underneath these lows it just made, then yeah, I'd say you might be in for a really bad time because you went and you took a loan out to buy the coin. go to the price chart and not the market cap. That was like 280 million market cap. But I don't think you're cooked right now. But if you start to trade underneath these lows, right? You come down here to like 68 cents. You start trading underneath it. That's when I would start to sweat if I was you. If I sold my house to buy this coin, I would really start to sweat if it lost this low. As of right now, I think you're pretty good, man. But just keep a close eye on it, because we don't need you going into bankruptcy or anything like that because you sold your house to buy this coin. Anyways, guys, let's see what else is going on here. Let's go through more of these bigger coins, right? We have Sam Fox. He asks, is Cardano and Solana a good buy right here? So I'm going to start with Solana because I was looking at it already. And I know the level I would like to be a buyer of Solana. I'm just not sure if we get it. I think we eventually do, but ideally it happens soon so we can catch it for a ride to the new all-time highs. So right now is not really a great price to buy Solana. Yes, it may just break through this level and go to 200 up here. It can definitely do that. But it's always not the best idea to long into resistance. Now, in my opinion, the ideal level to be a buyer of Solana currently is going to be at around $165. Why do I say that? We had this previous consolidation structure right at that level, right? This is a bit of a rally-based rally demand zone. And if we go to the low here, we do have our 382. I just learned today that some people always use their Fibonacci like this. Well, they'll have their golden pocket where the 382 should be. So if people do it like that, well then, this is not the golden pocket, but this is actually the 38.2. It's at $162. Anyways, Fib confluence, demand zone. Also, if you look to the left. Look to the left on the chart. It's a big horizontal support resistance flip level, right at around $165. So if I want to be a buyer of Solana, it's going to be down at 165, not the current market price. That means you have to live with the fact it may not come down. It may go up instead. You have to live with the fact you might not get a fill. But if you do see Solana down here at around $165, remember this segment of this live stream today. Don't get scared if that happens. We are bullish, guys, okay? All the fear, all the post-traumatic stress disorder that everyone has from the bear market of altcoins this year, where we went down only from January to April, right? All of that, it's now flipped, okay? It's the opposite, where we're pumping, okay? So don't be too nervous. When we're pumping and we see red, for example, if you see Solana come to like 165, that's when you should be not nervous. You should be happy that you get the pullback. That's the level to buy on Sol. All right, I hope that's clear. 165. Now, Cardano is pretty similar. All right, it's really not that different here. It's really not that different. The weekly candle right now is going to close not quite above the previous high just yet, but there's still like 12 hours left for this weekly candle to close. Regardless, this is a very bullish weekly candle. I don't think anyone would call this a bearish weekly candle. Now, quite similar to Sol, I already have a line at a big horizontal level at 70 cents. You should also notice the 1 day 200 EMA is going to be right here at 70 cents. Let me see on the 12 hour. So the consolidation that led to the expansion is this here. this here. I think a pullback to the previous highs would be a good level to buy Cardano. I'm not here to tell you to buy this right now at resistance, okay? I'm not going to say here, a live stream with 170 people watching, yeah, Cardano's a great buy right now. Okay, I will live with the fact that it could just pump, but I'm still going to say if you want to be a buyer of it, you should buy it at value. Currently, that's at 73 to 70 cents. Right, guys, we look for the levels where it would make sense to be a buyer or a seller. That's why we go over levels of demand where we want to be a buyer, and levels of supply, those are the levels we want to sell at, okay? If you guys like that, well, stick around and continue to watch and smash up the like button. But that's our approach here. That's what we like to, that's how we look at the chart. Everyone's in their own little world. Everyone looks at things differently. Everyone has their own view of the market. Everyone has their own analysis techniques, and that's perfectly fine. Just find something that works for you and continue to do it. Anyways, so if we're going to see some violent pumps, right, we have SPX 6900. This coin is now in price discovery, making a new all-time high, okay? This is, of course, on Murad's list. But we have our in-house trader right now, Neo. Shout out to Neo. And he went ahead and gave us the setup inside of the Mastermind today. On Giga, as you can see. And this was another really simple setup, guys. Literally, for Giga. Whoops. What happened here was we were accumulating on this trend line. We broke out and we pulled back and we came right back to this trend line. So I mean, very simple entry here at the climax of this pattern. We have a little bit of a breakout right now. So with these really, this is a total shitcoin, right? Giga Chad. But that doesn't mean you can't trade them. The most important thing is just timing it, right? Just timing it. So anyways, good timing by Neo here to share this one. I'm in this. But yeah, Giga Chad slightly breaking out right now. Up around 5%. Okay, also, in the last live stream, we also talked about Polkadot. Okay, so if you guys remember, there was that 30-minute demand zone on Polkadot. I'm going to paint this clean. Okay, if you watch the last stream, the price was up here. And we came on here on stream and we identified this level on the 30-minute time frame, right? What is this, guys? It's just a simple rally, a little bit of a base, and then a rally. Also at the previous highs, but I just identified this as a level of demand on the 30-minute time frame. Okay, we also pulled this fib. And we identified how our 61.8 was right in the level. Now, if you notice what happened, it ended up coming to the 88.6 fib. But the idea was to long it into the golden pocket. And now we can see that, that was the right idea. So this is just basic stuff. Because 5%, 5.6%, not bad as a start. Look, if DOT actually goes and breaks out here, guys, it's going to go pretty hard. But all of these ideas are just based off the fact that we have bullish market structure. So we need to be bullish. Okay, we need to look for shallow pullbacks to support levels. We can't overthink it, right? When conditions are like this, you can't overthink it. Again, you have to get rid of all that post-traumatic stress disorder that you have from the 6-month altcoin bear market from January to April, right? Where alts just went down 90% plus. People are scared to be bullish because it got them burnt so many times in the past. Right now, all we're doing is looking for shallow pullbacks for continuation entry trades. That's the whole plan. That's the whole playbook. Anyways. Yeah, a lot of people saying Cubic is officially a rocket ship that launched. It is indeed a rocket ship, guys. So finally some bullish price action on Cubic. Finally we get the breakout. Right after hitting this level down here like 10 times. We have seen an explosive move. And next target is going to be up here at 3,000 per billion. So, yeah, this is one where, you know, you have to stick with it through all of this chop. And then it finally breaks out, okay? This is crypto in a nutshell. So when it finally breaks out, you simply need to let it pump. And obviously you look to take profit on the way higher, which is why we have these levels already planned in advance. We already know where we would like to be sellers in the future. So anyways, Cubic breakout. If you look at my channel, guys, look at my videos. Right. Abster. Aerodrome, 100% move. XRP. Breakout. Treble, not really moved just yet. Cubic, pump. Doge, pump. Some gaming stuff hasn't really moved yet. They're up. But in general, right, I've been pretty selective with the coins I've been making videos about. Cubic was one of them, and this is why I pumped. So let's give ourselves a little pat on the shoulder. But hey, I mean, I stuck with this coin for years. I've been holding this coin for years. So let it go. Let it pump. And yeah, this is it. Our patience was actually rewarded. We got a super chat. We got some more super chats coming in from Vedi CD. What's up, brother? So I missed one from him, but he said he bought some RSC, Research Hub Token. What do you think about the actual projects, Kita and RSC? Well, the actual projects, KTA, it's a layer 1. They're using Base as like a placeholder token. I think it did extremely well because not the technicality of the scope of the project, but the people in charge of the project know the game of crypto and they know how to pump a coin. Just my opinion. Research Coin, I have no opinion about this project, man. This is the first time I'm ever looking at it in my life. So I can't really speak on this. Academic science. It's a far-fetched, man. Nobody in crypto cares about academic science. Right? Like the audience of people that watches crypto are like people that watch Alex Becker, man. They don't care about research science. But hey, maybe there's the DeSci narrative that comes back. But in general, I can't speak on this coin. I've never heard of it. But I do appreciate those super chats, man. Thank you so much. And you want to ask me about Arrow? What would you like to ask me about Arrow, sir? In terms of Arrow, so everyone probably everyone more likely than not notices. We're going to get rid of this now, okay, because this played out, right? The pullback into the 2-day. We played this really well, right? We called this one. We called this one. Now we're up here. So what's going to happen next? Let's talk about it. So it has shown some weakness on the recent pullback. Actually, never mind. My eyes proved me wrong here. So another basic trend line approach here, showing you guys that it's just holding this trend on the 4-hour, whatever time frame you're looking at. Now, it looks like it wants to hold this level at 88 cents. Now, if you see this thing roll over beneath 88 cents, yeah. So if you see this thing roll over, I don't really expect too crazy of a correction. Ideally, it doesn't make a fresh low, right? It doesn't come beneath 66. It shouldn't. So I would be looking around the daily 200 EMA and this consolidation. I will be looking at around 78 to 75 cents. Just this 1 day level, demand zone. I will be looking in there on Aerodrome for a continuation move up higher. And your next target levels are going to come into play quite soon. Around $1.10, and then another one coming in around $1.30. But that's Aerodrome. Yeah, pull back to around the daily 200 EMA would be appropriate. However, what I'm seeing here, like on just on the daily, even on the 288, is that, you know, it's holding this level. Okay, it's holding this previous resistance flip to support, so it should just continue higher. If you do see the pullback, though, that's where to look, at around 75 cents. The live chat is absolutely rocking today, guys. Be sure to smash up the like button as well, though. Don't skip smashing that like button. All right, guys. So let's see what's going on here in the world of crypto. So this is an interesting article. So Pump.fun. So the newly launched Pump token has crashed beneath the ICO price of $4 billion, fully diluted valuation, only days after launch, sending all holders of the coin into a loss. And Kobe says, why would he write it like this? But yeah, so let's take a look at that actually real quick. How's the Pump.fun token doing? So the last time we looked at it, it was up here. And it ended up losing this level and making a fresh low. I don't care. I'm not going to trade this coin. But anyways, it's beneath the ICO price, if anybody was wondering. Also, in other breaking news, Michael Saylor has hinted he's going to be buying more Bitcoin. He says, stay humble and stack sats. Here is the graph of all of his purchases. All right, in orange. These orange circles are all of his purchases. The man's been on a buying spree, and he is not scared to buy a top. Would he buy billions more here with Bitcoin trading at 118K? I think he probably would. I don't think he's scared to be a buyer here. So that's just something to keep an eye on. Also, we can see that the Genius Act has officially been signed into law. All right, so this is the Stablecoin Act. It's the first U.S. law to set clear rules for stablecoins. Require them to be backed fully by cash or similar assets and audited every year. So this is the Trojan horse for the central bank digital currency. Let's go, guys. We got the Genius Act passed. And everything's pumping. But it is a Trojan horse for the central bank digital currency. Don't get it twisted. So Vedi CD says, just to let you know, Brian Armstrong is the RSC founder. It's even linked in his X bio. That's why I'm interested. So yeah, I remember Brian Armstrong talking about DeSci, decentralized science, which is why I mentioned that the DeSci narrative might pick up. By the way, Vedi CD, thank you for the super chat, man. So yeah, I'm aware of the whole decentralized science narrative in altcoins. These DeSci coins pumped in the past when Brian Armstrong CZ, founder of Binance, tweeted about DeSci. They all pumped. I think that was here in November. Right, that's what caused this pump. So yeah, if Brian Armstrong starts talking about this project, that's his. It could pump for sure. Again, I don't really know too much about the project, so I'm just not really going to speak about it because I don't know that much about it. So I don't want to say wrong information or anything like that while I don't have that much information about the coin. But I do appreciate those super chats, man. The Zuko says, what's up, Conor McGregor? Do you recommend to sell ETH at 4K and then buy back the correction? So as a general rule of thumb, no. I never recommend to sell with the idea to try and buy back lower. Bull markets are built on a wall of worry. Bull markets, these rallies are produced, right? Think about what I just said. Bull markets are produced by a wall of worry. The reason price can rally so hard like this is because people don't believe that the rally is real. They were trying to short it here, trying to short here, trying to short here, trying to short these highs. They're trying to short here too. Okay, they've been wrong every time. And selling to try and buy back lower is not the same as shorting the asset, right? But it's just it's not the way to go about the market, in my opinion, right? I don't really recommend to sell with the idea that you want to buy back lower. If you're bullish and you reach a target, you sell, you take profits partially if you don't want to sell your entire position, and you just ride the trend up higher, okay? You could take partial profits and then use those to try and buy back lower rather than sell your entire position. But I never recommend selling and trying to buy back lower. It's just not the approach that I think is the correct approach personally. So let's check out SEI as well, guys. SEI say. So SEI, we already have our plan level. This is just a one-day breaker block that we must have outlined on a previous live stream. Okay, we'll do this in real time for everyone watching, wondering why we would have picked this level. So to the naked eye, this just looks like an uptrend, a very aggressive pump. But we want to notice the huge levels of inefficiencies, or in other words, fair value gaps. And we have a really big fair value gap that was left behind on the initial breakout here. And now if we look beyond that fair value gap to the left, we can see that we had a supply zone, right? So we can put that supply zone on the chart. So in general, before it becomes a breaker block, it's just a supply or demand or an order block. So that's why it's red. What happened was price pumped through it. It left it behind. It now becomes a bullish breaker block. Okay, and it's also valid because we have seen the price of this coin close a daily candle above the previous swing high. So we know this is a valid breaker. Okay, and this is on the 1 day time frame, so I always like to label them 1 day. So that would be the ideal level that we see SEI come into. The issue is, like I've been talking about all live stream today, because we're so bullish, we might not be getting these 18% corrections. Even though that's so possible. It's so possible to see an 18% correction. Looking at the weekly chart, that's also a fresh weekly demand zone that formed. And it's at the top of the weekly demand zone. So for SEI, this is the level to be a buyer. If you see it come here to 30 cents, be a buyer. Don't be scared. All right, so that's the ideal level that we can catch a ride on the train. If we're not so gracious enough, or if the market isn't so gracious to give us 30 cents again. Nasty, nasty bear divergence. Pretty nasty stuff, lads. Right, which is why I'm saying don't be FOMOing. Okay, don't be FOMOing. Because there's some nasty bear divs across the board on a lot of coins at the moment. But anyways, let's talk about price targets higher. I like 48. This would be categorized. I mean, there's so many different terms, but right, you see this big wick down in this fair value gap. So this would be like an opposite pole. This would be used as a price target. Okay, I also like 75. And then you got the all-time highs. So if you're bullish on Say and you think it's going to go run to the highs up here at above $1, the current price is 36 cents. So yes, it has moved really aggressively off of the bottom, but the meat of the move is still left to capture, right? All of this. So if we want to catch a ride on the train, the ideal level to do that would be right here at 30 cents. All in this weekly demand zone. That's what to look for. $17 set entry. That's perfect. That's right off the bottom. And let's see. Let's go to the top. I definitely missed a lot of stuff today. Shout out to Adrian Kent. Shout out to everyone, man. I know I didn't really get to you guys, but I see you all. Charge it to the game. James Brasco, FBS, Georgios asking about swarms. We went over swarms. Yeah, they got us on this one, man. So I mean, many other AI coins just ripped, but the market maker of swarms said, nah, not today. So, yeah, stopped out on that. Also, Magic. I'm going to bring up Magic real quick because I've been looking at the setup since 2 weeks ago or whenever that was. Shout out to Topi if he's watching, man. But we still have the 2-day level, right? It's just a simple 2-day breaker block left behind here that we would like to see get hit. This would be a no thinking buy, right? Limit order. If you see this on Magic, it's a no thinking buy in my opinion. This is coming in at 15 cents in the 2-day breaker block. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with it. I mean, people are definitely tempted to long here. And this might be the correction before new highs, but I would like to see 15. You could take a scale in approach where you just start small buys just to start a position, right? And then buy the bulk of your orders down here. But I'm still going to say 15 cents on Magic is the level you want to wait for. I don't think Axie's coming to 225 anymore. I think this is going to get left behind. This is a bullish chart. So those zones will get left behind, right? The idea was on the 12-hour, there's just a breaker block. I'll show you. This one's double hidden. Right? This one. on the 12-hour time frame. We would have liked to see a pullback into this, but this is exactly what I was saying on Ethereum, right? The higher it goes, the shallower the correction is going to be. Let me get rid of this. Okay, the higher it goes, the shallower the correction is going to be. So we've seen Axie put in this big breakout. Look at this correction, pretty shallow. 9%. This one as well. 9.5%. This is what happens. It's the same statistic. Anyways, so yes, for Axie right now, I would look for in here, in this conglomerate of a consolidation. Why this? Well, this consolidation led to new highs. More reasons, obviously. 50% Fibonacci retracement. Pull it to the left. Support resistance flip. So it could wick lower for sure, but this is the general area to be a buyer at $2.50 on Axie Infinity. If you don't have a position already, which you ideally should, but if you don't, that's where you should look. People asking about Ondo Finance. So real world asset coins. Let's just take a broad look at these RWA coins on my watch list, where I have most of the main ones. And I want to look at their weekly candles. So Ondo move right into resistance. Very strong weekly chart. Pendle strong weekly. RSR strong. Right into resistance. CFG looking like a textbook breakout is about to go. Goldfinch also looking to break out on the weekly, still under resistance. Checks really performing horribly. Rio, bullish weekly, looking to break resistance on this week. ISX looks like horrible. Polytrade, lagging. Doesn't really look great. Swarm markets also kind of lagging out of this bottom. Just came out of a bottom accumulation lake. So these are all the RWA coins I have on my watch list. These are like all of the main ones. I'm sure I'm missing some, but this gives us a pretty general idea of where the real world asset narrative is currently. And as you can see currently, it hasn't really taken off at all yet. Envision, looks like a scam. We're going to get rid of this. And BKN as well is looking to break out of this bottom consolidation. So in general, our real world asset coins are still about to break their first major resistance level, or they're still at the bottom. So RWA coins haven't really moved hard yet. Ondo is up 70%, which is pretty decent for sure. Anyways, this moves right into supply. So there's nothing really clean here that I'm seeing, which means we're going to have to take our more aggressive type, bull market type approach to this. And a pullback to the previous highs, the support resistance flip is what I'm going to look at. So 90 cents looks pretty logical to me. That would be right at your 0.382. Again, for all the fib people who look at it upside down, that would be your your 61.8, but I don't look at it like that. However, 90 cents, I like it. Why do I like it? Well, for a multitude of reasons. I just like the relationship that the price of Ondo has with the 90-cent level. That's all. Many times, look to the left. This is a major level of both support and resistance, depending on whether the price is above or below it. Right here at 90 cents. So what I'm saying is, because we're above 90 cents now, and we know in the past, like look at this example from February, liquidation right to 90 cents. So we know when we're above 90, buyers like to step in at 90 cents. So I'd like to see that on Ondo if you're looking for a pullback. Because we are now in this supply level or this resistance level. So I would look at 90 cents before continuation if you want to be a buyer of the coin, that is. If you want to be a buyer of the coin. And let's see, we got a super chat right now from James Brasco. He says, Dog and Me has not done much. Still bullish AF on it. When do you see a breakout? So, in terms of when do I see a breakout? I unfortunately don't have the magic crystal ball to tell me the exact time and date. It's hard to say when. Now, let's just identify what's going on in this chart. Let's look at the weekly. I would say that there's nothing to worry about. I would say that if you were trading like under these lows, you should be worried, okay? But as of right now, I mean, this chart is simply just respecting this level of support over here at around 40 million market cap, 30 million, whatever that is. And it looks like most of the other base meme coin charts, right? They've all been in this like accumulative structure. Some of them are starting to break out, but they're still around similar market caps. Yeah, I mean, I think Dog and Me is a high-class base meme, right up there with KeyCat, with Niggles, with the rest of the bunch. So I got nothing bad to say about it. And the chart doesn't look bad either. Right, if you just compare it to Miggles on the weekly, right? Different chart, right? This is a different accumulative structure. But on the weekly, it's just starting to move. I think KeyCat probably looks more like Dog and Me a bit. Yeah, I mean, this looks more like Dog and Me, where it's bouncing off this horizontal level and just kind of lagging a bit. So I would say have some patience, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with Dog and Me. It shouldn't pump hard when, let's actually talk about this. When are our shit coins going to pump? When Others Dominance really pumps. This is Others Dominance right now. Okay, Others Dominance. It's at 7.9%. So remember, the market pumps and shit coins pump the hardest. We talked about this in the previous stream. But our shit coins will pump the hardest when Others Dominance gets above 12%. All right. You can see over here, March 2024. Remember, AI season, NVIDIA conference, AI coins pumping 50x, 100x everywhere. That all happened when Others Dominance was above 12%. More recently, December 2024. Market topped then. We had a bunch of meme coins, shit coins in general, went crazy November, December. This went above 12% briefly. So yeah, we can be a little bit more conservative and say when it gets above, say, like 11%, right? That's when shit coins go wild. In general, our shit coins aren't really going to pump until we see Others Dominance up here. We need this thing to come back up here. So that's probably when we see all of the meme coins, base coins, low caps, whatever, they're all going to pump when others' dominance makes it back up above 10% at least, right? But really, we peaked out recently every time this cycle when others' dominance has been above 12%. That's been the top of the market. That's when shit coins pump. So that would be in terms of when. That is when. So, guys, be sure you're following me on X. Now, as you guys know, I've been doing a lot of spaces with Atlantis DEX on Monad. Monad still is in their test net. They haven't launched any mainnet yet, but we're still waiting for that. And with that being said, Atlantis is currently running their NFT campaign. If you guys are familiar with it, it's been pretty insane. Almost 500,000 NFTs have been minted. I'm going to mint one live right now on stream. Let's go mint an NFT live on stream, everyone. Let's see if we can pull a legendary. Remember, this is testnet. It's not real money. But it's always fun to play the lottery and roll the dice. That's my fourth one of these, bro. That ain't it. Rage quit. Anyways. So much fun, as you guys can see. I'm absolutely thrilled by that one. Ecstatic. Can't even contain my excitement, actually. Let's get back to business. So, Bitcoin, remember, CME gap, 115K. We know that's a level of support. We're also looking for the previous high structure to hold as support. All right, those are the levels for pullbacks to watch for on the king on Bitcoin. For ETH, we have a 1-day breaker block left behind at 3,300. We want to see ETH close this weekly candle as high as humanly possible, because that means that the pullback will be shallower. We want this thing to go as much as possible up. It is going to a new all-time high. You guys need to understand that. Now is not the time to be scared or all that stuff. So the higher this goes, the shallower the pullback will be. So we'd like to see this push up as high as humanly possible. So Solana over here. We talked about Sol. We talked about how we would like to be a buyer at around $164, $165 in this previous consolidation structure. Doge, we'd like to see this previous level like 22, 21 cents. And those are some of the main ones. Coins like Tau right now have been in this consolidation. This could have been the entire correction. Notice how it also came directly into this level we've had at 447 and turn around. Very precise there with the levels. Now, yeah, this could have been the entire correction for Tau. Remember what happened over here. Remember what happened over here. This is the daily time frame chart. It literally went up every day, closed green for 8 days straight. The pullbacks were non-existent. So this very well could have been the pullback for Tau. If this was 11%. I was going to say if it was 13%, I would lose it. Because okay, never mind. They were 9%. I was thinking of a different chart. But anyways, that could have been it for Tau. Hard to say. If you're long, if you're holding, keep on holding. Okay, don't give up the position. Retain, lads, retain. And we're looking for this to break the highs at 500 and come up here to make a new all-time high. This is simple. All right, we're bullish. We're in a bull market and we're bullish. Let's see how we open up the week, though. Okay, let's see if this was a big weekend trap. Let's see if this was a big weekend trap. Bitcoin dominance closing the week like this, though. it's impossible for me to be bearish on altcoins. This is what we've literally waited like 4 years for. So, hence my bullishness. Hence why I'm approaching things the way I'm currently approaching them. These moments in crypto are few and far between. This is the time to capitalize fully on these conditions. Shout out to Dre. He says sold Bitcoin, wants to see the 200 EMA breakthrough. Potentially. Yeah, you'll see that. I am proud to say that I did call this top actually on sold Bitcoin. Go check my Twitter feed from January. And we predicted this. When Trump launched his coin, we predicted that Solana was peaked. And it was. Now, will you get this breakout? I'm not sure, but I feel much better holding ETH. I would strongly, if you guys are still holding Solana spot, let's see how late you are to this trade. Let's see. Binance ETH USDT / Binance Sol USDT. Yeah, pretty late now to make a pivot swap over, but maybe you get a crazy outperformance, because actually you haven't broken out yet. This is Solana versus, or this is Ethereum versus Solana, and as you can see, Ethereum is now starting to outpace Solana, but it's still pretty early in this trend. So maybe not too late to rotate all of your SOL into ETH, but I think that's the play. I think Ethereum will greatly outperform Solana from here on out this cycle. All right, guys. But anyways, we got a crazy bullish Sunday right now, and we have a lot of action across the board. A lot of coins are continuing to pump. Some of them are still in consolidation. What the heck was I doing over here? Real quick, let's look at AVAX. AVAX is going to break this structure right now. But like all the other coins we've looked at, they're all at this level of supply, which is why I'm saying this might be a weekend trap. Don't FOMO into these levels of supply and into these levels of resistance. If we get an early week dip telling us that this was indeed a weekend trap, we want to long that early week dip for continuation up higher this week. There's 1 week left in July. Real quick, let me pull this up. Pull up CoinGlass real quick. Now, if we look, July usually very bullish. Now August can sometimes lead to disappointment. Now in 2017, Bitcoin went up 65% in August. In 2013, it went up 30%. 2021, it went up 13%. Maybe because this is the post-halving year in August, we get a green month. But we still have 10 days left in July. We want July to close as bullish as possible. So we want to max out these 10 days. Let's max them out. All out. Full out sprint. I'll be right here on YouTube, guys. So be sure to subscribe if you're not, because we're going to max out the month of July right here. Just around a week and a half left. Look at the 1 month candles. Yeah, they're big and green, right? My purple is actually green. But they ain't that big and green compared to what we, can see. And sometimes the big expansion can happen in the last week of the month. So we want to make sure we are locked in here to end out the month of July, all right? There's going to be a lot more opportunities out there. So let's not miss anything. This is where we dominate the crypto market right here at Crypto Empire. Smash the subscribe button down below if you are not subscribed. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the live stream right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have an amazing rest of your Sunday. And I'll see you all very soon right here at Crypto Empire. My name is Connor. Stay